Hi folks, need to set up the situation for the video that's going to follow. It's called Escape from Balingoan, a true story, and it is a true story, and it might seem somewhat melodramatic to a lot of people that I would name it like that. But at the time it was very frustrating, so I'll just explain. I had gone to Cagayan De Oro to get things, because there's a lot of things you cannot get on Camiguin Island. And I decided I'd bring the car, which was very expensive, and it was a mistake. And I spent a lot of money, and I shouldn't have done it. I should have just taken a bus. But I went with my neighbor, and I also had a driver who I was paying to drive us down there, and he used to be a taxi driver down in Cagayan, so he knew his way around, and that part of it was good actually, but you know, I still had to pay him. And so we went down and we bought stuff, and it was expensive. We had to spend the night there, and the next day we went to a supermarket. I bought some food to bring back to Camiguin, and we got to the ferry, the place where they have the ferry, which is called Balingoan. We got there at 2:30, and we sat there for a while, and then we were told that there was no room on the ferry for our car. And so my neighbor and I decided, well, we'll just take the ferry over to Camiguin, and we'll leave the car and the driver, and they'll come over the next day. And so time went by, 2.5 hours went by, and now it's almost 5 o'clock p.m. and we were told by then that there was no room on the ferry for even passengers. No room for cars, no room for passengers. So we were stuck, or so we thought. And, you know, I gave the money to the driver to spend the night, but it looked like we were all three going to have to spend the night. And by this time there's a lot of cars in line. There's at least 15 cars, and there's hundreds of passengers. And everybody's hot, and they're angry, and they're pushing, and they're shoving. And the ferry company was trying to negotiate with the Coast Guard to allow an additional ferry, because there was enough room, there was enough people there that for a whole new ferry, plus the cars and everything else. And the Coast Guard said no. They would not allow an additional ferry. So, by now everybody's very angry. I couldn't get video of it because, you know, it just wouldn't work, and I was carrying a lot of luggage and stuff, and we had food in a cooler and all kinds of stuff. In any event, by this time, some pump boat operators started circulating amongst the crowd, telling people that they would take them across to Camiguin for a high price. It's at least, you know, in some cases it's triple the ferry price, and in some cases more, and they told me that they would charge me 1,500 pesos for me, and then 1,500 from my neighbor. And that's actually fairly substantial money. That's about $65, and I told them no. And so they dropped the price, and we finally came to an agreement. dark, and it was also raining a few minutes ago. But we're coming into Camiguin Island. So that's the end of our adventure for now, except now we have to find our way home. But find our way back to our house. So here we are safely on Camiguin Island, stranded on a beach like castaways. But at least we're here safely. It's funny that on this side, on Camiguin, pretty much all the beaches are rocky. But on the other side, they're sandy. They're dark sand over there. And that's Mindanao. And Mantiki Island, of course, has white sand. So all these different islands have their own characteristics, their own personality almost. It's interesting. It's actually more fun. It's actually more fun riding on a ferry, on a punt boat, than it is on the ferry. It's really a whole lot more fun, and it's faster too. So I enjoyed that part of it. It just, you know, costing a lot of money wasn't good. And we landed on the beach, and we had to walk up to the road in the dark, and I always have my little blue flashlight, so that's a good part, that I had that thing. And we made it home, and the next day the ferry, the driver brought our car to the house, and everything was fine. And it'd all be funny, and maybe someday I'll look back on it and think it's funny. But it cost a whole lot of money. It was frustrating. There was a lot of not being sure of what was going to happen. A lot of angry people, and you know, so it's escaped from Balingoan, and that's really it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please put a thumbs up, and share, subscribe, comment, whatever, and have a great day wherever you are. Thanks.
You